now?
Yes.
I think we're live, yeah. What's up,
Yeah.
guys? Welcome to the Omi Show. It's Saturday afternoon, and I'm joined by the one and only Purna Virji from Microsoft, and we're going to be talking about voice search, SEO, and digital marketing. So let me first introduce, Purna, introduce yourself better.
All right. Well, hi, Omi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on here. So I'm Purna. I'm the senior training manager at Bing Ads, and I'm the giant search nerd, fascinated by everything SEO, PPC, and voice search. So really excited to be chatting voice search with you today, Omi.
Purna, don't be shy. Tell us something about your PPC. I know you're a top PPC person in the whole world, right? So
I
please
was
don't be shy. We're going to be talking about voice search, but let's not forget, you're the top PPC guy in the world, right? Am I right? Or
that's very I was very honored to be named by PPC Hero as the #1 most influential PPC expert in the world. So yeah, it was a huge honor. I was very surprised and humbled, and of course, very excited by it. So yeah, thank you.
yeah, on top of that, Purna Virji is probably the only big person in the world talking about voice search. So today we're going to be talking about voice search. But before asking the first question, let me do something that's never been done here in England, of course.
Ooh, are you still there, Omi? Omi, I think I've lost you.
Can you see me now?
I can hear you now. I can't see you. I just see your photo. Oh,
Can you
there we
see?
go. We're
Oh,
back.
there you go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was
Oh my
never been
God.
done?
I
Oh,
can't
the
believe. As
echo.
I said, it's never been done in UK. So this is the first time we're going to ask this, how shall I call it? This thing.
Alexa. We'll just call
Alexa.
her Alexa.
Alexa, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. It's World Vegetarian Day. Put down the steak knife, pick up your salad fork, and give peas a chance.
There you go.
Oh,
Give peace a chance.
yeah. She has good jokes. I like Alexa's jokes. My
So
son always asks
I
her.
bought this one on this thing, Alexa, let's call it Alexa, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But we agree, obviously, with Purna to talk about it earlier this month. So, Purna, let me ask you the very first question. What is voice search, and why is everybody freaking out and basically talking about it, but freaking out at the same time?
Well, firstly, people shouldn't freak out about it. I think there's lots of amazing things about voice search that we should look forward to. And I just want to add, there have been a few really amazing people talking about voice search as well. I think Tom Anthony from Distilled is a really great voice on the subject as well. But yes, so let me talk about what is voice search. It's just a way of using a different interface to interact with the different search engines. We know that, oh yeah, you can use Alexa, as you're showing it right now, or you can even interact regularly with the search engines directly. Instead of typing, which sometimes can be troublesome if you're doing something else. Like if you're driving, you shouldn't really be typing on your phone, but you still need to find that information you need. So it's just a new additive layer or interface to talk to the search engines. It can also be done via digital personal assistants like Alexa that you have, but she'll use Bing to run her searches as well. So it's traditionally just like regular searches, except you're doing activated via your voice. And in that way, it differs.
So, Purna, tell us who is using it basically, and what are the stats? Are people using it? You know, I know many people will have this one on their mobile device. I guess, and I've seen the stats. A lot of people are buying this device in America. So, are people using voice search?
Very much so. Voice is being adopted at really increasingly rapid rates. If we look at the stats, like even just about a year and a half ago, we still found that about 40% of people above 55 were using voice search, and a much larger percentage, like closer to 68% of people are under like 34 were really using voice search a lot. The study didn't look at 18 and below, but if you think about it now, if we look at the people who were like born using like voice, or they're familiar with it, like my son who's almost 10, he uses voice search almost all the time. It's just easier, it's familiar. So we see a large percentage of people already started using it like at the start of 2014. Since then, much that the use cases have gone up. So MindMeld did a study at the end of 2015, and they found that since the summer of last year, about 42% of people have just started using voice. And I think the stat somewhere is now about 41% of people on average across the board use voice search regularly.
So shall I then, sorry, I don't know if I'm muted or not.
No, you're not, I can hear you.
The dangers of the live show. So from what you're saying, is it true that voice search is basically replacing the normal way we are interacting with our devices? For example, instead of typing on my phone, I can just say, okay, show me the nearest restaurant. Or do you think that voice search will replace completely, what shall we call it, text search?
I don't think it will replace it completely. I think it is going to take a lot of the time and the traditional uses where we would have had to use text to use voice. So certainly it take some of the share. But think about as new technology comes on, right? We just had our computers before, then we got desktop laptops, then we got mobile, then we got apps, right? You still, when you had your mobile, you still use your desktop. Now we have apps, but we still sometimes go back and use our desktops and traditional search, right? So it's just, we're just adding on new ways to interact, and it may steal some, like what I guess, market share, but it'll never replace it completely. You still will use the old one.
Okay, so the next question then will be, is this device, Alexa, powered by Bing? Because you basically, you know better than, actually, let me ask him. Ask her, probably. Alexa sounds more, you know, female, like a female. Alexa, do you use Bing?
You can ask me a question, and if I don't know the answer, I'll perform a Bing search in the Alexa app.
There you go.
There we go. So yes, Alexa is open platform, but all her searches, anytime she needs to do a search, she will use Bing. It's the same thing with both Siri and Spotlight for Apple. Siri will use Bing as her default search engine.
Yeah, many people actually don't know about Siri powering Apple. How comes? Is this like a secret of the trade, or?
It's certainly not a secret. It's just that it's not like shouted out from the rooftops. I mean, we're very open about telling everybody that yes, it's powered by Bing, and most people don't notice. Like if you'll say, "Hey, where's my nearest restaurant?" She'll do a search and give it to you, but there will be a sentence that says that search is powered by Bing. But I think people just don't read it because you'll only look at the searches. But once you notice it, you'll always notice it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So the next question, and all my friends were asking me the other day when I told them, oh, I'm going to be talking to Purna. They was like, how on earth is this thing,
yeah,
recognizing my voice? Do you use artificial intelligence of a kind of something like that?
Absolutely. So all these digital personal assistants, Siri, Cortana, even Google's OK Google, right? It's all powered on the back end by artificial intelligence and machine learning. She's trying to essentially build a relationship with you, right? She wants to get to know you better so she can serve you better.
I have noticed that in the beginning, it was struggling with my accent a little bit.
Yes.
But somehow, nowadays, whatever I say now, you just, even if I make a mistake, a grammatical or whatever, you will still understand me, which is amazing. So
she will. And
So,
that's also a lot to do with the error rates in the technology. It used to be pretty high before, like 25%, 2.5 years ago. Now it's less than 8 across the board, and Microsoft just had a breakthrough where it's like 6.3%, very, very low.
and because you mentioned mistakes, errors,
Yes.
so obviously the next question will be, if it's not a secret, is this thing connected to your servers? Many people are freaking out, especially with the arrival of Alexa in England. They think that if this thing, okay, see, every time I say Alexa, it's
Yeah, she
I don't
sparks
know
up,
if
she
you can
wakes
see
up, yeah.
yeah, people think that this thing can actually is constantly listening to my conversations, and some of those conversations may be private, of course.
So I can't comment on what Alexa does because I just don't know the technology behind how she's made to it. Does she listen all the time? Does she not? Like, I know with, I don't know enough to comment on that. It wouldn't be my place to say that. But I don't think people should be really worrying. Like, I would assume that the big companies have built in sort of safeguards and everything to respect privacy. And I believe when you sign up, there's all the terms and conditions. They explain it greatly. Now, I haven't read all the terms and conditions in detail because really, who does that, right? We're just like, check the box. I want to go and use my device. But I'm sure the answer is in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe I didn't. Yeah, obviously you answered my question, but what I really meant is like, if I ask Siri a question, Alexa, Siri, Google, how do you know if I'm served the right answer? How do you know the percentage of errors, basically?
So everything
This
gets saved
idea.
in your account. So if you've noticed that, you can go in Google and look at your list of queries. You can look at Alexa's app on your phone, and you'll have a list of everything you ever asked her.
Mhm.
They do save it, and because you're signed in as your account, she gets to know you better. The
Okay.
only goal of these digital personal assistants is to serve you and to make life more convenient for you. So it is in its interest to get to know you better. So it will know, like if you sign in with your Microsoft account, for example, it shall know that, okay, you tend to search for these type of things on Bing. So she'll know that, okay, if I'm looking for Java, then Omi's really been planning a trip to Indonesia and he's really not looking for the software. So she'll just try to understand that better. If you're saying like, I need some info on Java right now, she'll give you the country and not that.
Okay, I get it. So basically, we are talking more like machine learning rather than artificial intelligence. Then.
It is both, as a way to, because if you think she's got IQ, she's also got some level of EQ. You've noticed she's got the personality, and she'll
Oh yeah,
talk to you.
this was actually my next question, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy you mentioned it. What about personality? Do you think that with time, this device will actually develop a personality? Talking to me, obviously.
She already does have a personality, and that's an interesting question that the different companies are going to look at. Like, how much personality does your digital personal assistant need? So if I'm the conversational bot from your ATM machine at the bank, right? She probably doesn't need to have much personality, right? She's just telling you, do you want to check your balance? Do you want a receipt? Do you want to withdraw money? But somebody like an Alexa or a Siri, if you talk to them for a little while, you'll notice they have a personality. They are engaging. I'll tell you this one simple example. My son will ask both Siri and Alexa to tell him jokes, and then if he doesn't like the jokes, sometimes he'll be like, that was stupid. So Alexa will say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. Like, she's very like humble and be like, I'm sorry. And you're like, girl,
Actually,
get a backbone. But Siri will yell at my son and be like, that's not very nice. So
actually, it just reminded me that I can ask this device to tell me a joke, right?
yeah.
Tell us a joke.
What did one eye say to the other eye? Between you and me, something smells.
Oh,
Oh my God.
I know. She's great at dad jokes. It's awesome.
I actually love it,
It is. So speaking of the personality, like that's also something that they're going to want you to, the need for a personality so that you'll continue to engage with her, right? If you feel like you'll want to talk to this device, because if you feel more, It's the difference between when you call customer support for a company, or if you go into a store and they make you feel welcome, like you'd rather talk to somebody who makes you
Yes.
feel welcome, who you can relate to, rather as opposed to just hear somebody, again, poor banks, I keep picking on banks, but at the bank who will be, okay, here's your money and now you can go. So there is that difference, right? It needs to have a personality so you can engage with her more, so she can continue to be more widely adopted.
So I actually good. So I can actually go on Monday and tell all my friends, this thing will be different for me, and different to you. So
Maybe not that different, but she'll know what you like. So I think she might tell you different kinds of jokes or different kinds, but her core personality will be the same. It's like you would relate to maybe your boss slightly differently than you would to your friend, but who you are is the same, right?
You touched a very sensitive spot.
Sorry, I didn't know.
No, I'm just joking, obviously. So let me ask you the next question, because obviously I've got so many questions here. We can talk all day.
Yes.
Don't worry, people. This is not gonna happen. And you know, because I'm an SEO, and basically, how will voice search affect SEO? And probably this is the question that a lot of people are asking. How will voice search affect SEO? Is it going to affect it in any way? I know it's going to affect it, but I just want to hear your opinion.
I think it will impact SEO, but in a couple of different ways. The first one, just the way we search using voice tends to be different than the way we search using traditional text. So it's your natural language type queries. So it's more action oriented. It's more local oriented. So what we search for in voice and how we search and what we expect is different than a traditional text. So that's one side. The other side is how the search engines and how it'll impact your branding. So very recently at SMX last week, I was on a panel on voice search, and my fellow panelist Jen Slag, who runs the SEM posts and talks very closely to people both at Bing as well as at Google, and she was mentioning something about Google showing more snippets and more rich snippets when you did a voice search than you did text search. Her research showed that rich snippets showed up, I think, over 43% of the time
The one
with
that
voice
I'm
search.
talking about all the time.
Yeah,
The
and
technical
40% of the time for text searches. So that was interesting. And also, like, Cortana doesn't do this yet, even though she'll read out answers to you if you ask her. The Google app will be like, according to, if you say something like, how do I make a paper plane? And it will say, according to XYZ website, this is what you need to do. So she'll mention the brand name, which is interesting. Cortana, we don't do it, but we just show, we read out the answer, but we don't like credit the source. The source is there visually. So that's the second level, is how the search engines will serve your results differently. The third one is really how people are going to expect to interact with your brand. Say, for example, Alexa has all these different skills, and you've seen Skyscanner as well as Kayak both have signed up to have different platforms with her. So you can't go all the way to the point of sale just yet with Kayak, but you can ask Alexa, hey, where can I go for $300? Or what's the best restaurant in this area of Barcelona? And she'll go back and forth and converse with you till you make that. So that's changing also purchase patterns because it's training us differently. So then as an SEO, we have to think about, one, if there's going to be fewer results showing up, right? Because voice search, you don't get to see as many.
Yes.
How do we make sure we're there? Two, how do we make sure we're optimizing so that we do show up when people are using voice in general? And how are the search engines showing us now? And how can we expect people to buy from us and use voice? So it's much more convoluted than a simple, like, put this natural language keyword here and it'll be okay. It's more about overall action.
So yeah, so because we're talking about SEO, so my next question really will be, and a lot of my SEO fellows friends are asking me, is it true that voice search will primarily affect local SEO? I mean, for example, where's the nearest restaurant? can I buy something from the nearest Tesco or stuff like that? Or it's going to affect the whole SEO as a whole thing?
It will impact both. Certainly local is just big because mobile tends to skew local quite a lot, right? Often, right? Think of how you use your phone when you're out and about. It's like, I want to find my nearest thing. But it's not only going to impact local. It's a big consideration, but also it's going to impact everything else. It's going to impact a lot of the higher up in the funnel. So in a way, it's going to be really good for all the content marketing that we're developing, because all of that, if it's more informational content, like what's the best way to apply liquid eyeliner, and if you have like a video content from a makeup company, then that can show up. Or it can be, what's the best, like a B2B, just think of different examples, like, can I ship this via FedEx? And it's those type of question and answers. So you have a lot of the FAQ content on your site optimized, different stages of the funnel content. So you should pay attention to that, because it will surface a lot more via voice.
So are you basically saying that we, in a way, and we have to concentrate even more on delivering the right content, and then the things that I'm, because recently I've been talking a lot about rank brain.
Yes.
Which is similar approach to search, to the SERPs, like similar approach like a voice search, and we've got the same thing almost there. Branding first. We have to concentrate on branding, more content, and then schema. So
yes.
Are you saying basically that we have to produce even more laser focused content in order to satisfy voice search, basically?
It's a sort of yes and no type question, right? I know, I'm sorry, I hate it when the search engines are like, it depends. But that's not actually what I mean. No, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's a bit confusing for us traditional SEOs to understand how those things gonna affect our jobs and basically our businesses.
Right, and it's a valid question to ask, but certainly it's not going to be too scary. The good thing is a lot of what you're doing already, like a lot of what we're doing already as SEOs, is very good and helpful for voice. Like, make sure you're following all the best practices, like making sure you've got schema everywhere. Remember, voice, it needs a lot more practice. The more you talk to it, the better it's going to get. So if I give it more information and I'm more helpful to the machine, then the machine can just learn about me better and faster. So if you aren't doing schema, which you should have been doing anyway, you want to make sure you're doing it now. Exactly.
Listen to Purna, people. Schema.
Exactly. Make sure your citations are absolutely perfect. They're up to, your phone numbers are correct, your address is correct, your hours are correct. You don't want to give people bad experiences, because what we're seeing now, and you've noticed this as well, is we're seeing this huge rise in searches where people will just look at the SERP and they won't click through to the website. But all the information that they need is what they got. I may just want to find the number for my local B&Q, or I just might want to check how late Sainsbury's is open for me.
Did you see? You said
Alexa,
the number of my local B&Q. Strangely enough, this thing can recognize your voice through the speakers better than mine. Amazing.
No, what I found is so when the commercial for Amazon Echo comes on my TV, and it'll be like, Alexa, do this, my Alexa will wake up and do that. So we'll say, like, Alexa, tell us the news, and then my Alexa will talk, and I'm like, shh, she wasn't talking to you. But they're pretty sensitive. They've got good speakers. I would say, Omi, we should look at voice search as in different disciplines. If you're thinking about Alexa and the Echo, you should think of her very differently than if you're thinking about like Google Now or Cortana or Siri, because they have different interactions. Alexa is only audible. You can only talk to her. You can only go back and forth vocally. On Google Now and Cortana, there is a visual interface as well. She gets very excited. We shouldn't say her name. We should refer to her as A.
Yes, Amazon Echo or something.
So just Echo. She gets quite excited. She's very responsive. So there will be different consideration. So let's talk about, let's say, Google Now and something like Cortana. Yes, rich snippets, your branding, your question keywords, all your content marketing will show up. It'll be good. If you're looking at something like Alexa, you're only captive by what she can tell you. And for her, you have to start thinking about your funnels and your transactions and your forms. So for example, if I wanted to subscribe to the Daily Mail, I would be like, okay, Alexa, how much is a subscription for the Daily Mail? Oh my gosh, I said her name, she'll get up. But then I'll say, okay, well, what if
Plus, there's already an app for Daily Mail there, right? So
exactly, if there's something, so then I'll ask her that, okay, can you tell me like what's a 6-month subscription, or can I get a 1 month free? Or I'll have those conversations, but I won't get to see anything else. Like there will be no chance for, say, like the Telegraph to post their ad or something else on the screen. It doesn't apply. So that is interesting. So there's different disciplines. We'll have to optimize differently for each.
Yes. So this leads me to the next question, basically. And something that a lot of SEOs are talking about, what are the new serves, basically? Because imagine if it comes to Alexa, Alexa, stop. If it comes to this device,
yeah,
and I ask it a question, it will give me only, and I mean only, one answer. So basically, there are no SERPs in a way, and I guess more and more devices are coming like this. I'm not going to ask you, Purna, tell us about the future, what else you're doing there in Microsoft, but I can see more and more devices coming like this, and if I ask the question, there's only one single answer. So basically, there's no number 2 or 3 or whatever. Whether if I go on my mobile, I've got a kind of a choice. So what are the new SERPs? Because if we have if we understand what the new SERPs are, then we would know how to optimize for them.
Exactly. I think this is going to be the biggest question.
Sorry, I know the question is a bit strange, but it's something.
It's not strange, yeah.
We traditional SEOs, we always talk about the SERPs, right? Position 1, 2, and 3, and stuff like that. But with this thing, and with many other things coming, obviously, there's only one choice. In a way, we are actually we're even limited. In a way, let's be honest, we are limited because the answer I get here, I may not like it, may not be the best answer for me. Am I right? Or
yes, look, that's the biggest question on the table today, is that now, who's the gatekeeper? The digital personal assistant is the gatekeeper between us advertisers and between the audience. There's a new layer that's coming behind, so we need to go and appeal to this. The thing is, I think let's take a step back and understand like why there's this barrier and why they're showing fewer things for you, and that will sort of answer a little bit more about what we should do. So I'll take a quick second to frame it.
It's always about we have to understand, so we adjust in the future.
Yes, exactly. We have to adjust, because we're just going to have to play up more and more relevancy to be able to get past this gatekeeper. What's happening now is we've always seen this tradition in the SERPs, right? Remember the old one, when the web first came out, there was like 1 million directories. So you look for your local plumber and there was like 5 million results. Oh, yeah. And we thought that was awesome, right? We thought that was a really good thing. Like this search engine is so clever. It knows 5 million results from my local plumber.
I just remember something, sorry. A big choice is not a choice, right? Some people say.
It's not a choice, which is why we were like, this was so frustrating. And we're like, we're not dealing with this. And then it became more like vertical search. And then it became like, different, like richer searches where we had images and videos. And now we're going more like entities and action-based. And search is also going in different places. So they understand us better. So now we can search on our phones. We can search in our cars. We can search on a device like Alexa. They get to know us better. It gives the search engines ultimately far more intelligence. We know you better. We can identify more patterns. Like the good thing about just richer, more and more data is that you can start to see different patterns and get more predictive analytics from it. So now we're reaching the point where we're trying to know you better. So now I'm like, okay, now I know Omi well. I know he tends to like, Greek food very much. And I know he doesn't like very spicy food, for example. I'm totally making things up for me.
Basically, I don't like spicy food. I don't know how to know.
I predicted it. Oh my gosh, no.
I hope it's not connected.
It was just a guess. So then if you're walking around, like say Chinatown in San Fran, which has some like lots of really good restaurants, but some of it has spicy food, and you'll be like, I'm hungry, and you're gonna ask Siri or Google or Cortana, whatever, it will know you enough to be like, let's not give Omi this restaurant or this restaurant. Let's just find him like a good Greek restaurant. Or Omi's eaten Greek food like 4 times this week. He's probably not going to want it again now. So maybe today I should be like, do you want to try this Italian restaurant, for example? So she'll predict that. So you're going to see fewer choices. Before, if you said, show me restaurants around me, she would have shown you like maybe the 15 restaurants around you. But that's not the case. She knows you now, so she'll show you restaurants that she thinks you'll like. So it's getting more and more personalized, so there's even fewer results. That's going to be the problem for you and me sitting at home advertising to our audiences. We're going to need to find that one spot of relevancy. So we may show up less often, but when we do, it's going to be far more effective. And this is the question that we're all trying to deal with now. Like if I know that I only drink coffee from, I don't know, Costa's coffee, then how is Starbucks going to want to be like, well, how do I get Purna to come to my store instead of going to Costa's? Things like this. So those are going to be conundrums that we're all trying to figure out, how do we get through the gatekeeper?
Yeah, I get it. And because you mentioned it, advertising, you just mentioned it, and because you're a PPC person.
Oh, I'm both. I've done SEO and PPC both for more than 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to bring up the subject of PPC because basically this was the question somebody asked me this week. One of my colleagues from the PPC team, he asked me, what's going to happen with our advertising? How are we going to advertise on this thing, or things like that, basically, devices like that?
So that's where I would say I would look at something like the Echo more as a purchase funnel alternative as opposed to searching. Because if you think about how much time you're going to use the Alexa and the Echo, she's great. She's also similar to your desktop. Like she's more of a stationary device. She sits in one place in your house, or if you have multiple, she sits in one place. Where will you use voice search far more often? Will be on your mobile phone. It's technology that's always with you, right? How often are you more than 3 feet away from your phone? That's what we should be thinking about it. Alexa, I would think about her more from a purchase funnel standpoint. She has skills. It's what they call it. So like Domino's creates a skill for Alexa. So you can say, I'm not going to say her name, but Echo, go and order me a pizza and have it delivered now. And she'll know based on what you like. Or her Amazon has, of course, a major skill and interaction with her, where you can tell her that, hey, go and find me like the cheapest box of pens that have 5-star reviews and send them to my house, and she can understand that. Or Kayak. So with the problem that's going to be coming up is going to be not about serving ads on her, which of course is going to be a case like, do we want audible ads, or how do we cut through? It's more going to be the case of how do I just transfer my purchase funnel and make it ready for her. Whereas what we're going to have to think about in terms of ads and all that is going to be on the SERPs. So Google, you can, if you have an Android, you can just do voice search from the homepage. I have the Google app, or I have the Cortana app on my iPhone, and I can just go to the app and I can do a voice search using it. So there will be the visual interface. I'll still see results, and that's when I'll still see my ads. So for PPC, I think there's going to be, if I was to personally guess, and I don't have any indication from anybody higher up at Microsoft to tell me this, but my personal guess, based on what I'm seeing, is that probably shopping campaigns are like visual is going to be first, or local. So it's going to be one of these two that we're going to see the ads in there first. So that's where your PPC team should pay attention.
Basically, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense, basically. What my colleague asked me was, and it's a valid question, are we going to be able to bet on answers? Because this is exactly what PPC people do, right?
Yes, of course it is going to be exactly what people can do. So I'm not sure what's going to be developed.
And I wasn't able to answer because I don't do PPC at all.
I would say we should do baby steps, because that's what we're seeing even with voice search and digital personal assistants, is that we're being eased into it. Certainly artificial intelligence is something that a lot of big companies are banking on. If you saw the news lately, you can see that so like Microsoft formed like a new 5,000 person AI team essentially, and it's a big goal of Satya Nadella and that he's announced that we're going to tie in AI into everything because it's so powerful. So yes, I will be interested to see what happens with the Alexa. I think for PPC right now, I don't know, to be perfectly honest, what can we do with Alexa? But I know that for the near future right now, you should be paying attention to like product listing ads. You should be paying attention to local ads. Even, you know, the visual and vocal connection is very strong. You should be tying your ads to what we see people using voice search for right now. And if we see what people are using it for right now, it's for things like local. It's when they're second screening, like driving is the #1 use of voice search that that we've heard from Google. We've seen that indications of that here as well. We see it when people are busy and they can't type. So they tend to look for, how do I get here? How do I do this? Is maybe entertainment, like what's a good movie, or who is that actor? Things like that. But it's going more and more that we'll start searching for, like, I need to buy these pair of shoes with high heels that are like this from this brand. In that case, the visual ads would be the perfect accompaniment. So if you can serve product listing ads, that would be excellent. If not, focus on just local or serving your content. Like SEO and PPC can really get married here very well. And
finally, finally.
Finally, so we can get all of your content, the higher funnel content, like how should I, what's the best way to deep clean my car? And then if you are like a car cleaning service, you'll probably have content around this. So you can just have, maybe spend £50 and run PPC ads for a long time. It's not competitive. It'll be cheap. You can still do things like that to promote, because you will come up for the higher funnel queries right now.
Okay, I get it. So kind of to summarize the whole conversation, and this is my basically last question. What should we be doing now in order to prepare for voice search in the future? Kind of to summarize everything that we said today. Shall we concentrate on content, or the technical SEO, like we said, schema and stuff like that? What's the secret to win the SERPs in the future?
Oh yeah, and it's actually really simple, and because there's no competition, no one's monetized it right now, you're in a really good place to start now, and I would highly recommend you start now. Let's talk about just some easy steps. Step 1, just go to.
I like steps. I like steps.
It's very easy
I'll
steps,
put them down in the comments later on, guys, for you. I promise.
So we'll start with step 1, which is just to see, are people interacting with you using voice? So you can do this either by asking your PPC team to give you a search query report, or you can look at Bing Webmaster Tools or Google Search Console and find the list of keywords. And you can try to then sort them by what looks like the longer tail, what looks like it is a question keyword. If it says, hey Siri, okay Google, you know for sure it's voice, because that's initiating voice. But if it doesn't, and there's no clear analytics, right, on voice, but if you can find something that's more than, like, 4 keywords, usually longer than that, like 4 words long, and it's a question, that's quite likely that it came from voice, maybe. So go and see what are people using voice for to search for you. And I look at a lot of different clients, a lot of different accounts. I see some people have it a lot, some people don't have it a lot.
So quick question here. What's really the most searched thing, Is it really something like they say everywhere, something near me? In a way,
near me is a lot, but it's not always the most, and it varies by industry. So sometimes in retail, it's more. What we find is that. No, go ahead.
Because a lot of people, when I talk about voice search, are telling me, "Oh, I'm not in the industry where people will ask about my business with a question near me," and I'm saying, I'm not sure this is really the most asked question. I don't know really.
It's high on the list, but it's not the only thing. Like, I would say any business needs to be thinking about voice search and optimizing for voice search right now. Even if you're just something B2B, if you're like a medical device company, you should still be thinking about it, because people are going to be researching you. So think about higher in the funnel queries. The more you can capture attention early on, you can keep them within your funnel and try to earn them. I've seen really great examples of home improvement companies that you can say that, oh, what's the give me some cheap kitchen renovation ideas that I can do for like under $1,000.
Wow.
And there are companies that have served ads, and you will talk this, right? It's easier to talk than type. I can talk 150 words per minute, whereas I can type about 40. So you will say this, and if your content can show up either as SEO or as a PPC ad to up the chances, you're in, right? You can keep somebody, then they go to your website, you can then pull them down your conversion funnel. So that's why it's important to know what are people using you for. The second step is, oh my gosh, run and do all your schema and run and get your technical sites set up, because that's good for you.
Call me, people.
Anyway, yeah, call Urmi. Urmi is one of the best technical SEOs in the whole world, and I can totally vouch for that.
Thank you.
So yeah, talk to Urmi for any technical SEO questions. Make sure your citations are there, right? If you have. And the third step is then go and do some keyword research. Be like, all right, now I know this sort of intent people are coming from.
Can I just stop you here for a second? Because for a second time you mentioned citations. Are they really that important?
They are that important because people tend to just go and look, but they may not even click through. So if all the information that people are seeing is on your citation and they don't have a chance to go to your website to find the address, then yes, it is going to be really, really important. Like, make sure your address is fine, phone number is correct, hours are correct. I'll give you an example. It was Easter weekend, and my mom and I were wanted to go shopping, and we said, okay, is any store open? So I did a search for a large retailer here, and I said, is you open? And it said, yes, open till like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I'm like, fabulous. We went, it was closed. So frustrating. We're like, right, so now I'm like, I'm not going to the stupid store again. I'm so annoyed. So we went we looked at like Trader Joe's, and they were like, yes, Easter hours. We're only open till 5, but we're open today. So that was good. So that was helpful. And reviews are also really important, especially if you are local. Make sure that your reviews are what people see first. And they may not click anymore to give you more chance to explain. First impressions is all that's going to matter. So yes, even if you're not a local business, sometimes citations or even just your reviews online are important. The third one is think about the intent and look at only a couple of different places. We've seen examples of companies that we've consulted with and who've started optimizing for voice, and the results that they've seen, they have seen a lift in sort of traffic and in engagement when they've optimized. So the question is always, where do I start? And it's not that difficult. It's like prioritize from your top 2 or 3 most profitable keywords, start from that. And look at the longer tail versions that could be most relevant to it. So rather than say Bahamas vacations, what's the best family vacation deal for the Bahamas? That's probably a good keyword, longer tail, that could be a voice search, right? So Bahamas vacations might be your #1 keyword, but like, what's the best family vacation to Bahamas is a really good voice search keyword. It gives you so much more information than just Bahamas vacation. It tells you that they're looking for a deal. It tells you that they're a family and they probably have immediate purchase intent. So try to look at those type of queries, and then you can think about, how do I best optimize? Do I have a page that answers that question? Do I have a page that talks about these family vacations? Do I have enough sort of supporting content? And that's all it is. It's like, think about the intent and the right action that they're likely to take and optimize just for that.
Oh my God. This is like a content SEO lesson.
It's just really, it's simple, but you do this already, which gets me more excited. Like, honestly, this is the first discipline where I think the PPC folks have to work harder than the SEO folks to optimize for voice. The good news is SEOs are smart and they've already done a lot of this lesson, whereas PPCs, like, we're going to have to be like, oh, now I have to create this campaign. Now I got to do this. Now I got to think of that. So you do have an advantage here. Celebrate for once.
Yes. It's good to hear, to be honest with you. It's really good to hear on a Saturday afternoon. As I told you earlier, last night I went to bed like 2 o'clock. I'm that busy, you know. So it's good to hear that it may pay off in the future.
It will. Just the fact that intent is so clear is going to make your life a lot easier.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Purna. Yeah. You gave me so much information that probably I have to come back to this and listen and write down everything. So we shouldn't be freaking out, basically, because this is how we started this conversation. Voice search is something that is just going to improve the customer experience. Am I right or wrong?
It is definitely just going to improve the customer experience. If we think about the mobile, like before we had the desktop, then we had the mobile, then we started getting apps, and then remember everyone freaked out like, oh my God, what do I do about my app? Everybody go and write an app. And now we're going to have like bots and conversations, and it's not that scary. Like we've done it before. We found a way to make it work every time. Voice search is even better because it's giving us all of this intent and this insights into personalization. So it's not scary, it is exciting. And as long as we start now when there's no pressure, we'll figure things out as we go along, and it will be very good.
Good to hear, good to hear. So sadly, we are coming to the end of my first interview with Purna. My first interview ever, basically. Thank you so much for coming. Let's hear Alexa again before we go. Alexa, tell us a joke.
I had a really great boomerang joke. It'll come back to me.
There you go. Alexa,
That's a good note.
goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, have you noticed she's so polite?
She's very polite, unlike Siri. But Siri is very nice, but she's got a personality. She's a bit snarky.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Purna. Hope to talk to you again. I'll definitely see you next week. Hopefully next week. No, not next
I
week.
would love
Next year
that.
at
Yeah.
Brighton SEO. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. And basically, keep it real. Voice search is coming.
Thank
Bye.
you.